Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you two short stories. The first story is titled White Lotus Sect. The leader of the White Lotus Sect was named Xu Hongru. According to legend, he had acquired a book of occult practices that allowed him to command spirits and deities. Occasionally, he would demonstrate his powers, and those who witnessed his feats were astonished, causing many to flock to him. Xu Hongru secretly harbored ambitions of overthrowing the dynasty. He took out a mirror and claimed that it could reveal a person's entire life. Xu Hongru hung the mirror in the courtyard and invited people to look into it. They saw various images, some with traditional headwear, some with hats, others in embroidered robes or official caps adorned with decorations. The diverse images amazed the onlookers even more. News of this phenomenon spread rapidly, and people came in droves to see the mirror. Xu Hongru then declared, "Anyone who appears in the mirror as a scholar or official is recognized by the gods as someone destined for a position of power. You should all strive and not retreat." When he looked into the mirror himself, an image of a crowned emperor in a dragon robe appeared. The crowd, astonished, knelt and worshipped him, believing he would become an emperor. Soon after, Xu Hongru raised a flag and proclaimed himself king, and people joyfully followed him, hoping to align themselves with the image shown in the mirror. Within a few months, his followers numbered in the tens of thousands, and people from Ting County and Yi County were completely impressed and enamored by his power. Later, the imperial court dispatched a large force to suppress the rebellion, led by a commander named Peng, who was from Changshan and renowned for his bravery and exceptional martial skills. The White Lotus Sect sent 2 young female generals to face the challenge. Both were armed with double-edged swords as sharp as frost and rode tall horses, looking quite formidable. The 3 engaged in combat on horseback, wielding their blades and maneuvering from morning until night. Despite their efforts, the 2 female generals could not wound Commander Peng, and Peng struggled to achieve victory. The fierce battle lasted for 3 days, during which Commander Peng was ultimately exhausted and succumbed to asthma. It was only after Xu Hongru was executed that officials captured and interrogated White Lotus Sect followers about the matter. They discovered that the 2 female generals had used wooden swords and ridden on wooden stools. It was truly remarkable that the White Lotus Sect managed to use fake weapons and horses to defeat a real general. The second story is titled Yen. In Shuntian Prefecture, there was a scholar who lived in great poverty. One year, during a famine, he followed his father to Luoyang. The scholar was naturally dull-witted and, despite being 17, could not write a complete essay. However, he was handsome, could make some refined jokes, and was very good at writing letters. Those who met him could not discern his lack of real talent and learning. Soon after, both of the scholar's parents passed away, leaving him alone. He made a living by teaching children in the Luoyang area. At that time, there was an orphaned girl named Yan, a descendant of a scholarly family. She had been intelligent from a young age, and her father had taught her to read. No matter how obscure a book was, she could remember it all after reading it once. In her teens, she began composing poetry and writing like her father. Her father had once lamented, "We have a female scholar in our family, but unfortunately, she is not a man and cannot participate in the imperial examinations." Yan's father deeply loved his daughter and wished to find her a good match. Unfortunately, before she found a husband, her father passed away. After his death, Yan's mother shared the same wish but could not fulfill it even after 3 years and soon also passed away. Some suggested that Yan should marry a learned scholar. The girl naturally agreed but had not met the right person. One day, a neighbor came to chat with her. The neighbor was holding a piece of embroidery thread wrapped in a letter, which Yan opened to find a letter from the scholar addressed to the neighbor's husband. Yan repeatedly read the letter and developed a liking for the writer. The neighbor, noticing her interest, whispered, "The letter writer is a handsome young man. He is an orphan, like you, and about your age. If you're interested, I can speak to my husband and have him help arrange this for you." Yan, with affection in her eyes, seemed to tacitly agree. The neighbor went home and told her husband about her plan. Her husband, who was already close to the scholar, shared the news with him. The scholar was very pleased and presented a ring adorned with a golden crow, a gift from his late mother, as a betrothal gift through the neighbor's husband. Soon, they set a date and held the wedding, and the married life was harmonious and joyful. When Yan saw the scholar's writing, she remarked with a smile, "Your writing seems to be of a different person than you. If you continue like this, when will you ever succeed?" Thus, she encouraged the scholar to study diligently every day, setting an example herself by lighting the lamp and composing poetry until late into the night, trying to set a good example for her husband. After more than a year of this, the scholar's writing had become quite proficient, but he failed the imperial examinations twice. He felt dejected and distressed by his failures, and his family was so impoverished that even eating became a problem. Remembering his setbacks in the exams, the scholar was deeply troubled and could not stop crying every day. Yan chided him, saying, "You are truly not a man, you are not living up to the role of a man. If I were to replace my hairpin with a man's cap, would definitely secure a high official position. To me, the imperial examinations are as easy as picking up weeds." The scholar, already frustrated and disheartened, was angered by his wife's words and retorted, "You, a woman, who has never been in the examination halls, think that achieving fame and success is as simple as boiling rice in the kitchen. If you wore a man's cap, you would probably end up like me." Yan replied with a smile, "Don't be angry. For the next exam, why not let me dress as a man and take the exam for you? If I also fail like you, then I won't belittle scholars anymore." The scholar smiled and said, "You obviously don't know the bitterness of hardship. You should really experience it. But I worry that people will find out and laugh at us." Yan responded, "I'm not joking. You mentioned that you have an old house in Shuntian Prefecture. Let me dress as a man and go with you, pretending to be your younger brother. Since you've been away from home since you were young, who would suspect our relationship? The scholar agreed to her plan. Yan went into the room, changed into men's clothing, and came out, asking, "Do I look like a man?" The scholar looked at her and saw someone who resembled a self-assured young man. Delighted, he bade farewell to his acquaintances and friends. After receiving gifts from those who were close to him, he bought a lean donkey and set off with his wife, who was disguised as his younger brother, back to his hometown. The scholar's cousin still lived in their hometown and was delighted to see two younger brothers, who were both handsome and refined. He treated them with great care and respect. Seeing them study diligently from dawn till dusk only increased his admiration. He even hired a young servant, who had not yet reached adulthood, to serve the two younger brothers. After dark, the couple would send the young servant away. When there were funerals or celebrations in the village, the scholar would handle the social interactions, while Yen focused solely on her studies behind closed doors. The couple lived in the hometown for 6 months, and very few people had seen Yen. When guests wanted to meet Yen, the scholar would make excuses to decline. Those who read Yan's writings were astonished. If guests forced their way in to meet Yen, she would perform a quick bow and avoid them. The guests who caught a glimpse of her talent were filled with admiration. Soon, Yan's reputation soared, and wealthy families competed to offer her their daughters in marriage. The cousin approached Yen about this, but she only smiled in response. When pressed further, Yen explained, "I am determined to enter the court and become an official. I will not marry until I have passed the imperial examinations." Just then, the examination commissioner arrived to oversee the imperial examination, so the couple went together to take the exam. The scholar failed again, but Yen passed the examination with top honors and was allowed to proceed to the provincial exams, where she ranked 4th in Shuntian Prefecture. The following year, Yen indeed became a jinshi and was appointed as the magistrate of Tongqing County, gaining great renown. Soon after, she was promoted to the position of a supervising censor in the Hunan region, and her family's wealth grew to that of nobility. Subsequently, she requested to retire from official duties on the grounds of illness, and the emperor granted her request. Her home was soon crowded with people seeking to become her guests, but Yen consistently declined all visitors. From the time she began as a scholar until she became prominent, she never discussed marriage, which puzzled many. After returning to the hometown, the couple gradually purchased maids. There were suspicions about an improper relationship between Yen and the maids, but Yan's sister-in-law secretly investigated and found nothing amiss. Soon after, the Ming dynasty fell, and chaos ensued across the land. It was only then that Yen revealed to her sister-in-law, "To tell you the truth, I am a woman, and I am your brother-in-law's wife. Since my husband is incapable and cannot achieve fame, I took it upon myself to participate in the imperial examinations out of frustration. I was afraid that if this became public knowledge, it would bring shame and possibly lead to the emperor's retribution." The sister-in-law, initially disbelieving, was convinced when Yan removed her shoes to reveal her small feet. Upon further inspection, the sister-in-law discovered that the boots had been stuffed with rags to make them appear larger. Yan then allowed her husband to take her place while she retired to the inner chambers and remained secluded. Yan never had children but used her wealth to purchase a concubine for her husband. She told him, "Usually, when people attain high office, they acquire concubines for their pleasure. I have been an official for 10 years and remain single. What good fortune do you have to enjoy the company of beautiful women?" The scholar responded, "You may keep 30 male concubines if you wish, and manage that yourself." This remark became a popular joke. At this time, the scholar's parents had received multiple honors from the court. When local gentry and officials visited, they treated the scholar with the respect due to a supervising censor. Despite inheriting his wife's official title, the scholar felt embarrassed and continued to see himself as a mere scholar, never using the official carriage reserved for censors throughout his life. At the end of the story, the author included this commentary. It is indeed remarkable that the scholar's parents were honored posthumously due to their daughter-in-law. While it is not uncommon for men to achieve the rank of a censor, it is exceedingly rare for a woman to attain such a position. Those who wear scholar hats and claim to be learned men should feel deeply ashamed. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tales, White Lotus Sect and Yen. If you enjoyed them, please give a like and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.